Audrey McGraw just gave the world a moment that felt incredibly rare, deeply personal, and surprisingly emotional, and it's something fans are still talking about. In an era where celebrity families often feel distant, carefully curated, and sometimes even disconnected from reality, this felt completely different. This felt real. This felt human. And most importantly, this felt like a glimpse behind a curtain that almost never gets pulled back. And what makes this moment even more powerful is not just what was said, but who said it, when it was said, and why it mattered so much right now. On March 20th, 2026, during a live performance in Las Vegas, Audrey, the youngest daughter of country music legends Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, paused in the middle of her set. Now, if you followed her at all, you know she doesn't usually stop to make long speeches. She's not known for dramatic on-stage monologues or emotional confessions. She tends to let her music speak for itself. She's subtle. She's intentional. She's the kind of artist who expresses emotion through sound rather than words. So when she did pause, people noticed immediately. At first, it seemed like just another quiet moment between songs, the kind of pause performers take to reset, to breathe, to transition. But then she started speaking, and within seconds the tone shifted. Her voice carried something different, something softer, something more vulnerable, something that made the audience lean in instead of sit back. She said, "I come from a Mississippi woman and a Louisiana man who just got inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. I'm so proud of my dad, both of my parents. I love them so much." It was simple. No dramatic build-up, no carefully crafted speech, no attempt to make it viral, just a few sentences. But those few sentences carried years of meaning. Because behind those words is a story, not just of fame and success, but of family, legacy, sacrifice, and the kind of bond that doesn't always survive the pressures of the spotlight. And that's what makes this moment so powerful. Because the truth is, growing up in a family like hers isn't always easy. From the outside, it looks glamorous, fame, wealth, recognition. But inside, it comes with pressure, expectations, constant comparisons, a spotlight that never fully turns off. And yet, despite all of that, Audrey stood on that stage and spoke not as someone burdened by that legacy, but as someone who is deeply proud of it. Just hours before Audrey stepped onto that stage, her father, Tim McGraw, had officially been announced as a 2026 inductee into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Now, this isn't just another award. This is one of the highest honors in country music. This is the kind of recognition that tells the world your impact wasn't temporary. It wasn't a trend. It wasn't just a moment in time. It was lasting. It shaped the industry. It influenced generations. Tim McGraw's career spans decades. He's delivered hit after hit, built a fan base that stretches across generations, and maintained a level of relevance that most artists struggle to hold on to. From emotional ballads to high-energy anthems, he's created a catalog that has become part of people's lives. Weddings, road trips, heartbreaks, celebrations. And yet, for all the awards, all the sold-out tours, all the recognition, one of the most meaningful acknowledgments of that moment came from his daughter, not from a stage filled with industry executives, not from a televised speech, but from Audrey. And that's what people connected with, because it reminded everyone that behind every legend, there's a human being, a father, a husband, someone whose greatest achievements aren't just measured in awards, but in the people who stand beside him. Audrey's tribute didn't feel like a performance. It felt like a daughter processing a moment in real time, like someone realizing just how big her father's achievement was and feeling that wave of pride hit all at once. And then, almost seamlessly, she transitioned back into music. She performed Barracuda, a song that carries its own energy, its own intensity. It's bold, powerful, unapologetic, and it's not an easy song to perform. It demands presence, confidence, strength. And that choice of song right after such a vulnerable moment, it said something. It showed contrast, softness followed by strength, emotion followed by power. And that balance, that ability to move between vulnerability and control is what defines great performers. But there's another layer here. Barracuda isn't just any song in Audrey's world. It's something she has shared with her father on stage before. So even as she stepped back into performance mode, that connection to him was still there. It was subtle, but it was meaningful. That entire sequence, the speech, the transition, the song, created a moment that felt layered, intentional, and deeply personal without ever feeling forced. And that's rare, because in today's entertainment world, so many moments are designed to go viral. They're calculated, planned, packaged. But this didn't feel like any of that. This felt like something that just happened. And sometimes those are the moments that matter most. But to really understand why this resonated the way it did, you have to zoom out. You have to look at the bigger picture. Because Audrey McGraw isn't just any young artist finding her way. She's grown up in one of the most famous families in country music. Tim McGraw and Faith Hill aren't just successful, they're iconic. Their relationship alone has become part of music history, a love story that played out alongside their careers. They've toured together, recorded together, supported each other through every phase of life and fame. And in an industry where relationships often don't last, they became the exception. They built something stable, something lasting, something real. And when it came to raising their daughters, they made a decision that now feels incredibly important. They chose privacy. They didn't turn their kids into public figures before they were ready. They didn't push them into the spotlight to extend their own fame. They let them grow. They let them explore. They let them become individuals first and public figures second. And now we're seeing the result of that. Because when Audrey speaks, people listen. Not because she's everywhere, but because she's not. There's a quietness to her presence, a sense that when she shares something, it actually means something. And in a world where people are constantly talking, constantly posting, constantly performing, that kind of restraint stands out. It creates weight, it creates impact, and it makes moments like this unforgettable. This isn't the first time we've seen glimpses of the McGraw-Hill family dynamic. There have been moments over the years, small, subtle, easy to miss if you're not paying attention, where their bond becomes visible. Tim McGraw has spoken about fatherhood in a way that feels grounded and sincere. He's talked about how his daughters changed his life, how they gave him a reason to grow, to improve, to become more than just an artist. Faith Hill has always carried that same energy, protective, present, focused on family above everything else. And now their daughters are stepping into their own lives. Gracie exploring creativity in her own way, Maggie focusing on purpose and impact, and Audrey slowly, steadily building something artistic, something unique, something entirely her own. But what's most interesting is how she's doing it. She's not rushing. She's not chasing trends. She's not trying to fit into a mold. She's experimenting, exploring, finding her voice piece by piece. And that takes courage. Because when you come from a legacy like hers, there's always that question in the background. Can you live up to it? Can you stand on your own? Can you be seen as more than just someone's daughter? And the way Audrey is answering that question isn't through loud declarations, it's through moments. Moments like this, moments that show who she is, not just as an artist, but as a person. And audiences are responding to that. After her Las Vegas performance, the reaction was immediate. Clips spread quickly, comments poured in. People weren't just reacting to what she said, they were reacting to how it made them feel. They saw authenticity. They saw vulnerability. They saw something that felt real. And in a world where so much feels filtered and distant, that kind of realness stands out. Some people said it gave them chills. Others said it reminded them to call their parents. Some simply said, "This is what love looks like." And maybe that's why this moment matters, because it goes beyond celebrity. It taps into something universal, that feeling of being proud of someone you love, that desire to say it out loud, that realization that moments like these don't come around often, and when they do, you don't want to miss them. As Audrey continues to grow as an artist, this moment will likely become part of her story, not as a defining moment of her career, but as a defining moment of her connection, a reminder of where she comes from, and a signal of where she's going. At the same time, Tim McGraw's Hall of Fame induction represents something bigger. It's not just a milestone, it's a legacy marker, a point in time where the industry pauses and says, what you've done matters, what you've built lasts. And the fact that this recognition is happening while his daughter is stepping into her own spotlight, that's not just timing, that's something deeper. It's a passing of energy, a continuation of story, a reminder that while one chapter reaches its peak, another is just beginning. And that's what makes this so compelling to watch, because we're not just seeing a single moment, we're seeing a transition, a shift, a legacy evolving in real time, and Audrey McGraw is right at the center of it, not trying to replace it, not trying to compete with it, but adding to it in her own way. And if she continues like this, with this level of authenticity, this level of emotional awareness, this level of quiet confidence, she's not just going to be part of the conversation, she's going to shape it. Because in the end, what people remember isn't just talent, it's moments. It's connection. It's how someone made them feel. And Audrey McGraw just gave the world a moment they're not going to forget anytime soon. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.